You wake up, you check your phone, you scroll, you go to work, you eat, you sleep, but you don't live. Not really. It's like you're stuck in a loop. Days passing, weeks disappearing. You smile at people you don't care about. You walk past mirrors without looking. You talk, but you're not really there. And yet, everyone else seems fine, happy, fulfilled. So you wonder, is it just me? Why do I feel empty? Why do I feel like I'm just existing? You keep telling yourself, one day things will change. When I get the job, the partner, the house. But that day never comes, because you weren't taught how to live, only how to survive. And somewhere along the way, you built a version of yourself just to keep going. A voice in your head that tells you what's safe, what's expected, what not to feel. But that voice isn't really you. Nietzsche saw this. He called it the herd. People sleepwalking through life, never questioning why, never knowing they were asleep. But here's the truth. Your real life doesn't begin when things go right. It begins the moment you realize you're not really alive. And if that hits you, if something inside you just stirred, that's not discomfort. That's the beginning. So, you keep moving. You follow the routine. You tell yourself you're okay. Because it's what everyone else is doing, right? But deep down, something feels off. Like you're watching your own life from behind glass. You smile in conversations, but it's hollow. You laugh at the right moments, but the joy doesn't reach your chest. And then, silence. Those moments alone when the noise fades and there's nothing to distract you, that's when it hits. This quiet sadness, this weird, heavy nothingness. Not pain, not drama, just absence. Like something vital is missing and you can't name it. You've probably brushed it off before, blamed it on burnout, or said, everyone feels this sometimes. But what if it's not just a passing feeling? What if this is your life, and you're not really in it? You walk, but you don't feel your feet. You breathe, but you don't feel the air. You touch people's lives, but only at the surface. And maybe the worst part is, it all looks fine from the outside. You're functioning. You're doing okay. So no one ever asks if you're actually living. But Nietzsche would. He saw through this, through the mask of routine, through the illusion of safety. He called this the herd mentality, where people follow the crowd without asking why they're even going. It's not evil. It's not dramatic. It's just empty. And the more you avoid that emptiness, the deeper it settles. But here's the thing. That emptiness, it isn't there to hurt you. It's trying to wake you up. Because before any real change begins, you have to feel what's wrong. And now, you do. You're not broken. You're just being given a choice. Keep drifting, or start waking up. You're not alone in this. What you're feeling, this emptiness, this strange disconnection from your own life. It's not new. Nietzsche saw it too. And more than 100 years ago, he tried to warn us. He looked around at the world, at people going to work, raising families, following rules, and he noticed something no one wanted to admit. Most people weren't really alive. Not because they were suffering, not because life was hard, but because they had stopped thinking for themselves. They didn't question what they were told. They didn't ask if the goals they were chasing were even theirs. They followed the crowd. They played their role. They ticked the boxes. And Nietzsche called that the herd. A system where people move together, not because they believe in where they're going, but because that's what everyone else is doing. And that's how most people live. On paths they didn't choose, in lives they didn't design, all while wondering why they feel so empty. But Nietzsche didn't judge them. He saw the herd for what it was, a survival strategy. It's safe to stay in line. It's easy to be normal, but it comes at a cost. Because when you silence your own thoughts just to fit in, when you follow someone else's dream just to feel accepted, you lose something, yourself. And slowly, you become a stranger in your own life. But Nietzsche believed that this wasn't the end. He believed that this moment of quiet discomfort, isn't where you collapse, it's where you begin. Because the truth is, if you're starting to feel this numbness, you might be one of the few who are actually waking up. And waking up is rare, because the next part is the hardest. The part that stops most people from ever truly living. Waking up sounds beautiful, but the truth? It hurts. Because the moment you wake up, you have to face what you've been running from. The fake smiles, the empty goals, the life that's been shaped more by expectation than by desire. It doesn't come with fireworks, it comes with silence. That kind of silence that makes you realize how long you've been distracted, how long you've been filling your time, just to avoid facing yourself. And here's what Nietzsche understood. Most people don't want to be free, because freedom isn't soft. It doesn't hold your hand. It tears down the walls you've built to protect yourself. It makes you question everything, your beliefs, your relationships, even who you thought you were. And that's terrifying. So most people run, they feel the discomfort, and scroll a little faster. Buy something, drink something, numb it with noise, because going back to sleep is easier. The routine is safe. Autopilot doesn't hurt as much. But staying asleep comes at a price you feel every time you stare at the ceiling at night and wonder, is this really it? Every time you laugh in public, but feel empty when you're alone. Waking up means burning the lies you built your comfort on. And that kind of fire, it scares people. But Nietzsche believed that if you can survive that fire, if you can walk through the pain of seeing your life clearly, you don't just wake up, you're reborn. Because life doesn't begin when it's perfect. It begins when it's real. And real begins right after the breaking point. And if you've made it this far, if something in you is still listening, then maybe, just maybe, you're already standing at the edge of your moment. The one moment Nietzsche said separates those who exist from those who live. That edge you're standing on, the moment after the breaking point, that's where it happens. That's when your real life begins. Not when you get the promotion, not when you finally feel ready, not when you've fixed every flaw. It begins in the silence, right after the illusion collapses, right when the life you thought you wanted stops making sense. It's not loud. It doesn't announce itself. It's subtle, a crack in the surface, a sudden shift in your breath, a thought that cuts deeper than you expect. I've been living someone else's life. That's the moment you stop pretending, the moment you stop trying to outrun yourself. And for the first time, you pause, you feel the weight of your choices, and you realize you get to choose again. Nietzsche believed that true life begins not when the world changes, but when you change the way you see the world. It's when you stop asking, what am I supposed to do? And start asking, what do I want to become? That shift is everything, because in that moment, that one quiet, honest moment, you are no longer a product of the herd. You're no longer a mask. You're not sleepwalking. You're alive, not just breathing, but becoming. And that moment, it doesn't wait for permission. It doesn't wait for a perfect day. It's here, now. And if something inside you just woke up, if this feels less like a video and more like a mirror, you've already begun. You are not who you were 10 minutes ago. You're changing, and that change is the start of everything. So what happens after that moment? After you realize you've been asleep? After you feel the silence and stay with it? You begin to remember something you've forgotten. That this life is yours, not your parents', not society's, not some checklist handed down to you. Yours. And this is where Nietzsche gave us his final truth. That real freedom doesn't come from following the rules. It comes from creating your own. He believed that once you wake up, you have a choice. You can go back to comfort, or you can become something new. Not something you imitate, not someone else's success, but something that only you could become. He called it the Übermensch, not a perfect person, not a superhuman, but someone who breaks free from inherited values and builds their own meaning from the ground up. It doesn't mean you have all the answers. It just means you're finally asking the right questions. It means you stop living reactively and start living deliberately. That's what it means to create your life, to step into the unknown, to say, I may not know where this path leads, but at least this one is mine. Because once you've seen the truth, once you've felt that emptiness and chosen not to run, you've earned something no one can take from you. Agency, vision, power. And maybe it won't be loud. Maybe no one else will notice at first. But inside, you'll feel the shift. You'll begin to move differently. Speak with purpose. Choose with clarity. Because now, you're not just living. You're creating. And that, Nietzsche believed, is the closest we ever come to being truly, completely alive. But let's be honest. Most people, they turn back. Even after waking up, even after feeling something shift inside, they go back to the familiar, back to the scrolling, back to the distractions, back to the life that never felt quite right, but at least didn't ask them to change. And maybe you've done that before too. We all have. Because facing the truth is heavy. Choosing your own path? It's messy. There are no guarantees, no applause, no map. But if you don't follow that moment, if you ignore the truth you just saw, here's what you really lose. 1. You lose time. And not just minutes, but years in a life that never felt like yours. 2. You lose connection. Real connection. Because numbness spreads into everything. Your relationships, your purpose, even your joy. 3. You lose yourself. Slowly, quietly, until one day you can't remember who you were before you started pretending. And maybe that's the scariest part, not dying, but reaching the end and realizing you never really lived. That's the cost of going back to sleep. It won't feel dramatic. It'll feel normal. Just another day. Just another year. Until you look back, and there's nothing real to hold on to. But it doesn't have to be that way. Nietzsche didn't offer easy answers, but he offered something better, a call to take your life seriously, to rise from the numbness, to refuse to waste what could still become something extraordinary. Because the real danger isn't failure. The real danger is sleep. And now that you've woken up, even for a moment, you have a choice. Keep drifting, or take that moment and never let it go. So what now? You've woken up. Even if just for a moment, even if everything still feels unclear, you saw something, felt something, and once you've seen it, you can't unsee it. This is where most people hesitate. They wait for certainty, for a perfect plan. But Nietzsche knew life doesn't wait. Awakening isn't a destination, it's a decision. And it starts right here. No more waiting. No more hoping the outside world will change enough to make you feel alive. Because the truth is, you don't need more time. You need more truth. And you've just found it. This is your moment. Not tomorrow, not someday. Now so ask yourself, not what should I do, but what do I choose? Choose to stop shrinking. Choose to stop silencing the part of you that's been whispering. There's more to this life than just getting through it. Speak louder, stand clearer, even if your voice shakes, even if you have no idea what comes next. Because that's the only way something new begins. When you stop following the script and start writing your own. You don't need a grand gesture. You don't need to quit your job or move across the world. You just need to mean it. The next time you speak, speak as someone awake. The next time you choose, choose with intention. The next time you feel that numbness creep back in, remember what it really is, a sign that you were never meant to sleep through your one and only life. So take the first step, any step. Let it be messy. Let it be small. Let it be real. Because once you begin, you've already broken the spell. And in that act, however imperfect, you've become exactly what Nietzsche hoped for. Not a follower, not a mask, but a creator of your path, of your meaning, of a life that is finally, undeniably, yours. So don't just think about this moment, honor it, live it.